Hey Remoras, it's me, Mr. Sharks. Welcome to the JurASSic, where the economy is in shambles. Dinosaurs are in their prime age, yet they're not paying taxes. And as if that wasn't enough, Pangea is finally breaking up, meaning that Earth will have to wait another 152 million years to get another crack at globalism. With or without money issues, dinosaurs rule the world, and enjoy doing it. Much like the Lystrosaurus before them, there was nothing that could stop the train of progress. All of their rivals conveniently died in the Triassic mass extinction. But they didn't, so no obstacles meant that the dinos could easily grow and diversify. Some became specialized killers, some became moving fortresses, some became moving skyscrapers. That being, the sauropods. What, you think I'm messing with you? I would never. Sauropods are truly ridiculous. Have you ever seen a giraffe? Imagine that, but bigger. Way bigger. It's actually absurd how big they got in their heyday. Take the Argentinosaurus, which, thanks to its more complete fossil record, has the strongest case for being the largest land animal ever. Brace yourself, Remoras. It is estimated to have grown up to 115 feet in length and possibly 70 feet in height. That's pretty big. Argentinosaurus. I wonder where their remains were found. Definitely not in the Falklands. However, in 1999, or rather in the BBC's opinion, the Brachiosaurus was believed to be the largest land animal ever. This would be disproven with the discovery of more sauropods, and they themselves would be downsized to 70 feet in length, but that's still more than all but 2 species of whale. But it's not those guys we're going to be following. For this episode, we will be following these guys. I'm sorry, what now? Who listened to this and thought,
"This sounds like a Diplo song"?
Okay, so the DIPLOdocus was claimed to be the longest animal ever to walk the earth in this documentary. That is not true, but it's still massive. How massive, you ask? Okay, let's use this Twinkie for reference. If it were the size of a DIPLOdocus, we'd be talking about a Twinkie 80 feet long weighing approximately 30 tons.
That's a big Twinkie.
You see Harold Ramis chomping on said Twinkie? This demonstrates that getting to that size is going to be tricky for an all-you-can-eat buffet of reasons. For one, rather than, reading good books, they're going to have to eat enough food to grow by 1 fuck ton a year. That's what Kenny says.
But they will have to grow by 1 ton a year until they are adults.
1 literal ton of muscle a year. In other words, with no rest, they're gonna have to grow by 4.40925 to 6.61387 pounds a day. You can't make me. Another hurdle to hurdle over is that we're in Colorado, which just so happens to be the state with the lowest obesity rate. Just in case. Cardio kills gains, and simply walking up a street over there is a Herculean task. Speaking of which, I'm noticing a pattern. We seem to be sticking to the states of the 4 corners, so is the next episode going to be about Mormon dinos? At this rate, probably so, but we're not there yet. For this segment, we'll be witnessing the DIPLOdocus lifestyle, and all of the trials and tribulations that occur within it, from a big baby to a ripped god, capable of shaking the earth and controlling vegetation. Whoa, get off the tree before you knock it over, you fat fuck. Let's start from the beginning. It's a chill day in Dinosaur Land. The sauropods are singing, the tree stars are healthy, and what in tarnation? Has the Xenomorph Queen landed on Earth? No, of course not. That's just a mommy DIPLOdocus experiencing the miracle of birth again and again and again. Kenny will later remark that she had laid 100 eggs in this one sitting. Thank God Jesus hasn't been born yet, otherwise that would be a lot of Christmas presents. Actually, not really. Unlike with the Dimetrodon like a Dilophosaurus, these babies are on their own before they even hatch. And just 3 months later, they're already dealing with the haters.
But there are signs they have been discovered by an egg thief.
No way, is he back? Nah, it's actually the Ornitholestes, who is as much of a relative to the birds as he is a complete dick. Killing vulnerable little babies may be part of nature, but the same cannot be said for burying the siblings in the dirt. Despicable. Need not worry though, the babies dig their way out and run into the safety of dense ferns. This allows Kenny to encapsulate the DIPLOdocus in its dedication to the grind.
Beneath these, the sauropodlets immediately start their lifelong obsession with eating.
Straight out of the egg, and they already know what they want to do with their lives. Impressive. If you want to make your mama happy and make your papa proud, harness the spirit of the sauropodlet. Just know that it might take a while. These children are still vulnerable to predators. They must pretend to be rocks so they don't get picked off one by the Ornitholestes or any other hater. If they survive the first year, they can relish in the fact that they are now 10 feet long and weigh half a ton. And the government insists on keeping children in booster seats until first grade. Humans are so small. By this point, they have a bit more range when it comes to places where they can safely eat, which exposes them to new dangers, such as other herbivores like the Stegosaurus. Big morons, as Kenny puts it. I mean, forget about the goblin shark. It's the Stegosaurus that are the real dummies of the world. Sure, he may have a lethal thagomizer at the end of his tail, but he has no class. They do not refer to their plates for display as china. They just call them plates.
So uncivilized.
Speaking of China, the DIPLOdocus also have to worry about the dinosaur that is everywhere, the Allosaurus. Let me explain. Do you need a T-Rex in your dinosaur media, but you've only now just realized that the T-Rex was only around for 2 million years in the late Cretaceous? Boy, do I have a substitute for you. What a convenient dinosaur. They are the lions of the Jurassic. They are everywhere. They are the rulers of China for the next 50 million years. Anywho, the Allosaurus and Stegosaurus don't work in tandem to harass their victims, but good God, are they in awe of how unlucky this creche is. There is no escape. It's either teeth or spikes. This is quite a predicament to say the least, but perhaps we can find solace within it by realizing this is ample time to wean out the weaker specimens.
That's what you get for not eating.
Disclaimer, I'm not a sociopath, I'm a shark. Technically, throughout all of this, we had a main character. It only took half the episode for Kenny to draw our interest to this one female DIPLOdocus in particular. I can't think of a goofy name for her, so I'm just gonna call her Susan. If you don't think that's a good name and have a better one in mind, please enlighten me in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. Right when we are introduced to Susan, she's going for a stroll over by a DIPLOdocus skeleton. Kenny says the female sauropodlet can have little idea that one day she will die. 4 years pass, and it is here where she begins to feel the burden of adulthood. She must provide shelter and food for a creature smaller than herself, like this little Anurignathus, yet another tiny pterosaur that eats insects, specifically insects that will call the DIPLOdocus itself home. Sauropods are so big that they function as ecosystems, and Susan's starting to become big enough to support one. She is now 39.3701 feet long. Nuh-uh. But Susan still has some growing to do. She is but a child that is too big for the washed-up bullies. Kenny does not hold back.
Ornitholestes displays his long quills in a futile gesture of aggression.
Sorry, Mr. Ornitholestes, you're just part of a statistic. Okay, that was a little mean, considering what the Ornitholestes represents here in the Walking with Dinosaurs series. I mentioned earlier that it is a relative of dinosaurs that will directly give way to birds. The point being, it is the only featured dinosaur with feathers. Notice the little quills poking out from the head. The late 90s saw the transition of dinosaurs from resembling lizards to resembling birds. More like a 6-foot turkey to be exact. This little detail is pretty neat, I reckon. You know what else I reckon? That it's time for Susan and company to skedaddle. She has become too big for her childhood home. There's not enough food to go around and there's not enough room to waddle around. But before we go to the open plains, I'm gonna take a moment to express how shocked I am on how much footage there is of these giants just minding their own business. Monsters provided non-stop action like there had to be something wild going on every blessed frame. This is noticeably more chill. Even when something exhilarating does happen, there's more time spent on build-up than the actual event. Case in point, an oddly long amount of time is dedicated to the DIPLOdocus drinking without any narration accompanying the shot. Please enjoy, for the bad thing is about to happen.
Drifting through the trees comes the scent of wood smoke. It is a smell that terrifies every forest dinosaur.
Wow! If there was any doubt about it being time to move out, it's gone now. I'll give humans props for this one. They wield the power of fire better than any other creature on Earth. They can just get a fire extinguisher to put out the blaze. The DIPLOdocus doesn't have that option. They can't waste any time in getting the heck out of there. They need to be standing on 3 feet at all times because of their weight. They need to waddle away, waddle waddle, or perish in flames, bum 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 ba-da-dum. For Susan, the situation is dire and the choices are clear. Her gains or her life. Damn, it's like dinosaur hell down there. If there actually is a dinosaur god and it wasn't just a funny joke, I sure hope this is just the moment. As for the DIPLOdocus crash, only 3 chose life over their gains. Even then, they are not safe. They are now completely exposed to the bullies of their childhoods. 4 years after the first attack they experienced, they still aren't strong enough to handle the Allosaurus. Now on the open prairies, pretending to be a rock won't work. The only safety that is provided is of that of which comes in numbers. They must find a herd that must tolerate their presence and accept them as one of their own. They must work together to create a beacon, the DIPLOdocus beacon, to signal adults to arrive. During the long, agonizing wait, another DIPLOdocus has bit the dust. Only 2 remain. Thankfully, a herd does eventually arrive. The elder female states that they followed the North Star to get to them. Kinda stupid, but dinosaurs just aren't aware of Earth's precession, and that there hasn't been any star at the zenith of the North Celestial Pole for millennia. So, let these astronomomorphs have this. Regardless, Susan and her comrade are safe to continue the grind. 5 years pass, and Susan's hard work has paid off. By DIPLOdocus standards, she is ready to reproduce, and the mating season has arrived, as seen in the males showing off their abs to impress potential mates. I mean, I don't know why else they'd be rocking back on their tails. Of course, there are multiple males ready to shoot their shot, and they often get into scuffles over their chicks. Remember, if you and your boy get into a scuffle over a girl that you like, it is an ancient kind of struggle, one that has caused earthquakes according to Kenny. Susan herself is getting in on this action. She's being rubbed on by a young male and, "Aww, Susan, I know it's scary. You're about to have an extra 10 tons placed on your back, but your spine is adapted for this ordeal. You have protection. You'll be okay. Now be a gentleman and get her some toilet paper." Despite reaching sexual maturity by DIPLOdocus standards, Susan is not fully grown. It's basic mathematics. She is still in danger of an ancient hater. She can't really run fast. She had already lost valuable mass from that dash from the forest fire all those years ago. She can't really fight back. She's just not big enough to stomp on the Allosaurus or something. Her tail cannot be used as a whip that can shatter bones. But the tails of her elders can. Kenny says that after the DIPLOdocus reaches a certain size, the haters disappear, cause nobody's messing with a Twinkie 80 feet long weighing approximately 30 tons. For they will say that they were only pretending to be assholes. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't have toyed with these majestic, magnificent creatures, capable of shaking the earth and controlling vegetation. They need a good send-off, as the BBC believes all sauropods die out after the JurASSic. Which isn't true, but let's allow Kenny to have his moment.
With their passing, life will never again be this large.
For my sake, pretend the music is still going on. I don't want to deal with this.